So why don't we get started? Welcome everyone to the December 1st, 2020 Washington County Board of Commissioners work session. Here in this Zoom meeting, we have Commissioner Pam Treese and Commissioner Dick Schouten. Our CAO, Tanya Angie, our CEO of Clean Water Services, Diane Taniguchi-Dennis, and I need to check, do we have a lawyer in the room?
We do not, Madam Chair.
Just promoted Alan.
Nope. Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you,
Alan
Michael.
Rapplier as well. Well, happy December, everyone. The first item on our agenda is board and leadership communication. Who would like to go first? Anyone?
I can.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what happened in between our last meeting and today. So we've had some time here, and I believe that between our last meeting and today we had the AOC. Okay, so I attended the AOC conference. It was a reasonable conference, and I'm going to put it that way because I wasn't very comfortable with the platform that they used. It was difficult to manage from my perspective. But Diane, I will tell you that in texting back and forth with the chair, I said it made me realize what a great job you guys did with WEFTEC, because it was, and granted we were all in the same room, which makes it a little different, but nonetheless the access to what was happening and to be able to feel like you weren't struggling to figure out what platform to be on, it really was helpful to attend the WEFTEC one. The benefit that I got out of the AOC conference was mostly in the discussion rooms. I also I attended a lot of the DEI related sessions, and it made me pleased about where we are. So that's really the my takeaway from the conference. The other thing that I've been working on is getting up to speed on the Salzman Road project. There's two different options. I'm working with Stephen Roberts on that, and Stephen and I will be attending CPO7 meeting on January 11th. We were trying to make it to the December meeting, but because of the holidays and because of the time frame that they have to announce their agenda, in talking with Mary Manceau, we opted into January. But that's going to be a big discussion point, I think, for District 2, but then also for the entire commission. And there'll be updates on that in the future. The other thing I wanted to say, and I meant to say it at the last meeting, is I just want to extend my appreciation and my thanks to our elections division. I think that, in light of everything that's gone on across the country, we have such a great team. We learned a lot of lessons from May, and I think that they did a great job, and it's so nice to have it certified. So good job to everybody there, and thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Treese. Commissioner Schouten, anything you'd like to share?
Hopefully, just at this moment, we have a leaf blowing operation right in my backyard. So hopefully that's not disturbing you too much as I'm speaking here, but that's the background noise that you're hearing. No, I don't really have too much to report. We had a good vacation, and much needed vacation in Hawaii. We stayed safe, and we're back. We've been holed up in the house. We've got a week to go yet, a little less than a week to go in our quarantine. I'm looking forward to the CEPA Open sort of ribbon cutting event in a couple of days. See how they do that. I've got a couple of meetings coming up in the month yet. The Aloha Business Association and a couple of others, and that's about it at the moment. This could be my last month. That's so. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Scouten, and thank you for mentioning the SEPA groundbreaking. On Wednesday, we are all invited to a virtual grand opening, actually, of 2 different affordable housing sites that SEPA has developed, the Community Partners for Affordable Housing. There is Cedar Grove in Commissioner Treese's district, as well as Red Rock, I think I got that name right, in Tigard. So both very exciting to expand the supply of affordable housing for folks throughout Washington County. Not only there are studios, 1 bedrooms, and 2 and 3 bedrooms for families as well. So good progress there.
What time is that?
Wednesday at 11 o'clock.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Let's see. Thank you, Commissioner Treese, for mentioning elections. The results were certified as of last Monday, so that's great. I also want to call out the great work that our staff did in supporting us through the Community Investment Conversation series. Saturday, the 21st, Commissioner Scouten hosted that event. We had another one the Wednesday night after our last meeting. A lot of great staff work went into supporting the logistics of that. So our staff is collecting all of the Q&A. There was a really robust Q&A session going on through each of those 4 different events. So they're going to be capturing all of that, plus the polling information and generating a report for us. I'm hopeful that we'll get that before the end of the year, but it might carry over into January, as there's just so much going on to complete this calendar year. And welcome to December, by the way. Let's see. Like Commissioner Treese, I attended the AOC annual conference and business meeting through the virtual conference. And one session that I'm really glad that I participated in was the public safety reform session that provided a really great overview for legislation that's happening across the state and that the state legislature either has considered or is considering. So if you missed that, I don't know if they've recorded them, but that was very helpful. Then last week, I attended the first of the Metro Supportive Housing Services Oversight Committee meetings. I am one of the 4 elected delegates. You might recall that for that Metro Oversight Committee, each of the 3 counties plus the city of Portland has a non-voting delegate. And then also, since our last meeting on the 17th, there were a number of meetings that I participated in with our state, particularly public health, as well as the governor's office on the new metrics with great support from Washington County staff. The state had really taken notice of our request over a month and a half ago to have our regional public health team engaged with the state on the development of more meaningful metrics to our region. So a lot of back and forth. Thank you for your flexibility in trying to set up a special work session for you, trying to time it around the governor's announcement, which, as it turns out, was mid-afternoon or so on Wednesday before the Thanksgiving holiday. We're going to have a presentation here this morning in our business meeting. I don't know how many questions Commissioners Scouten and Treese you've gotten thus far on the new metrics, but the numbers tell the state that we will be remaining in extreme risk for a number of weeks. There is a weekly measurement that will be done of the numbers and a cadence of every other week to see where we're at. We'll find out how we did as a community in staying home and staying healthy over the Thanksgiving holiday, but the numbers aren't really looking good. So our staff is working to help set up a variety of meetings so that we can help others in our community better understand the new metrics. So that's about it from me. I don't see Commissioner Rogers here, so it's just the three of us today. And so next we'll turn it over for leadership communication, and then we'll check in on the formal agenda items. So Tanya Angie, our CAO. Oh, there's Commissioner Rogers. Should I spring it on him? No, we'll let him catch up. We'll go to the CAO first.
Good morning, Chair Harrington, Board of Commissioners. I just want to continue the conversation on COVID response and just share an appreciation for all Washington County staff for their flexible nimbleness and really dedication to service excellence as we continue to navigate this novel virus within our community. And so I just am continuously amazed at their responsiveness and just creative thinking. So with that being said, COVID is impacting our workforce as well. So right now we do have 8 employees who are out because they've been tested positive, and we have 22 employees that are currently quarantined because they were close contacts. And I will continue to bring you these updates on a weekly basis as COVID not only impacts our community, but also our workforce. I did want to share just a quick IT tip of the day because I know this has impacted myself and others. If you are having issues getting on to your NetMotion at home, before calling IT, shut down your computer, restart it, and try it again. That's always the IT tip. Just shut down and restart, kind of like going to bed at night and waking up the next day. This is an issue that's been happening to several people. So I just wanted to share that with you. We are currently reviewing the Economic Development Manager job applications. We have a great pool of applications. I will be sending out email to board members, hopefully later today, asking if there is interest in participating with the interview process. And that's all the updates that I have at this point.
Commissioner Rogers, welcome.
Well, welcome. Thank you. I seem to be struggling getting onto the various platforms. I thank you, Tanya, for sending it to me. I was stuck here frantically doing things, and last night, sorry you missed. What are you showing me? Phone? Yeah. Last night I was unable to get on our county website to listen to the chair's message, which I regret. I'll watch it virtually, I guess, today. It doesn't seem like we'd be busy this time of the year, but we are. Pam and I were at a meeting of the Area Act last week, and after some logistics, we were fortunate enough to get a unanimous approval in regard to an issue regarding the STIP in the 24-27 period. It took some gymnastics, as you might guess, because of the variety of thoughts that people have in this region. You have 4 counties with a whole lot of different ideas. But anyway, that was last week, and a lot of meetings in between. So anyway, enough of that. I'm done.
Chair Harrington?
Actually, I just thank you for that report, Commissioner Rogers. Thank you for pointing out the issue that I'm sorry that I was not able to listen to the also the end of the year report from our chair because of some technical problems that were there. But I assume there'll be a way for us in the coming hours or the next day or two to be able to listen to that as a rebroadcast or something.
Yes, Commissioner Scouten, I emailed the link to all the commissioners this morning with the video, so you all have access to it now.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. Back over to leadership communication. Hello there, Mr. Rapplier. Anything for us this morning?
Yes, just briefly, as you know, the No on 110 committee filed a lawsuit to try to stop us to count the vote on that. And the judge did not issue the restraining order. And just yesterday, the No on 110 committee dismissed their lawsuit. So that's over with. So that's it. Thank you.
Can I ask one
Alrighty.
question of
Sure.
Alan? I haven't heard an update in a while in regard to that timber suit that came out of Lynn County, and
Yeah, it's-
where's that at? And maybe for those who are not familiar with it, you could share some details.
Sure. So, you know, they had the Oregon's largest jury verdict, I believe it's $1.4 billion out of Lynn County. And that is just working its way through the Court of Appeals right now. There's been no settlement discussions, and I anticipate that it will go all the way to the Oregon Supreme Court.
How much was that for us, Alan?
It was a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
And the exact amount escapes me, but I'll provide that later.
All right. I just was curious. Thanks.
Yeah.
Diane?
Good morning, Chair Harrington and Board of Clean Water Services. And like Tanya Angie, I want to thank the Clean Water Services team for continuing to do their great job under COVID operations. Last week, I reported previously about 2 employees that were out on COVID leave and being tested. They both came back negative, and they're both back at work. We do have 1 employee this week who is on leave, and they did test positive for a COVID exposure that happened in their social lives. And the employee is currently teleworking and doing well. So we're supporting and making sure that they're continuing to recover from it. So that's good news in terms of numbers. And the team is very much doing their social distancing and physical distancing and all the hygiene. There is a Privy Council that I think Mark Jocker sent out to the board to invite you to our virtual holiday event. Normally we have events that involve food, pancake feeds that we do, and the proverbial turkey feed. But this year it's going to be on December 16th from 10:30 to 11:15 a.m. to celebrate the great work that the team did this past calendar year, as well as to recognize all of our new hires and our retirees. There's going to be a decorated mask contest, so people are having a bit of fun with their masks, and I hear there's going to be some musical parody of the 12 Days of Christmas. I'm looking forward to that. But you're all invited, and I hope you can come by and say hi to the team. I know they very much appreciate it. But thank you.
All righty.
That's
Well,
the,
we'll all
again,
have to-
that's just a rehash. That's the 16th at 10:30 in the morning.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, so next on to syncing up on the formal agenda. We did have a couple of changes to the agenda since it was first published. On item 5, the public hearing for Clean Water Services on the rates and charges, the information there was revised, so we'll want to make sure we're all caught up on that latest packet. There is a new action item, item B, to amend the emergency declaration, and we'll hear a little bit more about that this morning, I believe, next. And then on the consent agenda, item E, a bid award was added. We also, we have a roundtable meeting on Thursday. And as part of that, some of the planning for the county council recruitment, as well as a couple of goings on, may necessitate a board meeting on Tuesday, December 22nd. So just a heads up on that. So we're getting some placeholder logistics set up on that, and we'll talk more about that on Thursday. So any questions on today's formal agenda?
I have one item.
Go for it.
Okay, item A under Clean Water Services. I want to pull that off the consent, and I'll prefer to make my remarks here in the work session. But I'll be voting no on that particular item, so that's why I want to pull it off.
Okey doke. That's on item A. That's with regard to the goal share,
Correct?
the goal share award. Okay.
Are you going to be sharing your thoughts, Roy?
Yes, whenever the chair says it's time.
So do you want that as item C under action?
However you prefer to do it. I just want to pull it off and vote. I don't want to make my comments necessarily in the public session, but I certainly will here.
Okay, we'll move that to item C. Under action 6C.
Would you like me to make my comments now or later?
Oh, either one. Sorry.
Yeah, okay, why don't we do it now? And as I say this, I think Diane understands that I truly love that organization and have admiration for her and all of her staff. They do an excellent job, and I do appreciate the briefing that she and Mark Jockers gave me. My concern is this. One is the optics during this period of time, in which there's a lot of people struggling. Businesses are going out. People just can't even make their daily wages, and they can't pay their bills. And so I started looking at this, and I shared many of these things with you, Diane, but I don't have a problem with the concept of the goal share. Actually, I was there when we adopted it, and we went through a lot of iterations of it, but it was meant for extraordinary kind of work. It was a stretch goal. It wasn't just to be given. It was, you had to do something extraordinary to get it. So that's the background. And again, this isn't personal. It's just my beliefs. So I started asking myself some questions. Is Clean Water Service employees, are their wages poor? And the answer is absolutely not. You look at them and look at some of the agenda items. They're paid outstanding wages. Are their benefits bad? They're outstanding benefits. Do they have a bad retirement plan? No. Better than the private sector by far. So everything there squares away. And so then I started saying, well, why did we do this goal sharing? The goal sharing was to say, how do we even get more extraordinary activity from people? How do we employ them to do more? And as you know, we put that goal sharing program in. I think it's successful. I think Diane and Bill before her did a marvelous job of administering it. But having said that, we just went through it. They didn't meet it in all cases. And they just got, I think on the average, about $5,400 each in September. There was some left over because they didn't quite stretch, and that was the idea, was to stretch. And now we're saying, well, because of the extraordinary effort during the COVID, let's just give it anyway. That wasn't really the intention. And for better or for worse, the county and the CWS are tethered together, which I've always thought for many years they shouldn't be, but they are. And it's hard for me personally to sit there and say that frontline public health worker who's not getting $1,200, that sheriff's deputy out there at night, they're not getting $1,200, that LUT worker, road crew member, they're not getting it. And yet they're all doing extraordinary work. And so in my heart of hearts, Diane, and you know how much affection I have for all of you guys, I just don't think it's right. I told her that I don't mind spot bonuses. Those make sense. for unique individuals and unique cases, but to give it across the board, and for anybody who hadn't even been there a year, they're going to give a prorated share. It sounds a whole lot like we just got a bunch of money that we're giving away. So that's my objection. I'm not going to bring it up during the board meeting. I did it here. Certainly you can get a response from them, but I would like to take it off. Thank you, Chair, for doing that. And I'll vote no because it's not the intent of the program. My comments are done.
Well, thank you for sharing your comments. I don't have a problem at all in your sharing those comments during the business meeting. Both of these meetings are public after all. I will be supporting the Goal Share Award. I think that, yes, everyone has been affected by COVID. I've seen the Clean Water Services staff put themselves in, some members having to put themselves in extraordinary, awful conditions, keeping those pump stations working, and everyone on the team pulling together to pivot so that we have continuous service, and all of the out of the box thinking that has gone in. We, throughout both agencies, and they are two separate agencies, we have tried to look at how we can ensure that our employees are safe, but also that their extraordinary efforts are recognized and appreciated. And each of these two agencies has been doing what it can to deliver those messages of appreciation for excellence of work along the way. So I will be supporting the Goal Share Award today. So any other commissioners want to contribute any comments either now or later? You're welcome to.
Yeah, I had a question on the investment policy. I think there's some language that I was a little bit concerned about. I'm not sure I understood it in the details of the document. I believe it was. Let's see here.
Which item are we talking about?
It's the one on our 2020 investment policies. Let's see, what is that? I think that's let's see here.
It's
Well,
L.
item 2L,
L.
Commissioner.
L.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Under support services. Okay.
Yes,
Sorry,
adopt
I was
annual
having
investment.
trouble with the context switch between the two topics.
Well, I'm still sometimes struggling. If I had a hard copy here, I could thumb right to it, but instead I made a note of it, and then I should have made a note. Okay, this is item L. There was some language in there about climate change that I didn't quite get. Let's see, that's at page 59. I'll look for that, and I'll circle back with everybody. And there was a section, there was some reference to climate change that I was confused by, and I will find it and I will circle back with all of you in a moment. My apologies for not having it right here at my fingertips.
And then I have one more item when Commissioner Scouten is done.
Before we move on, Diane, did you have anything to share?
Trying to get unmuted there.
There you go.
A little bit of a lag in the system. Sorry about that. Thank you, Commissioner Treese, and thank you, Commissioner Rogers. I do understand the perspective about the goal share. I did believe the team did act under extraordinary circumstances. The chair pointed out we're having activities within the collection system that we never anticipated, which is the advanced plugging of all of the pump stations and the team having to respond to those things under extreme COVID conditions, as well as the treatment plant workers, that there is no way to keep them at home. They have to show up 24/7. And, you know, from the perspective that that is their job, but it's also they're working under more difficult conditions because they're not able to plan their work in such a way that they are used to doing the work. They have to be very inventive and very innovative in terms of continuing the ongoing maintenance of the facilities. Even the inspections folks, they had to turn their rigs into offices and find different ways to do their work. And our telecommuting folks, they set up their home offices. They did not ask for additional pay as it related to use of their home internet and their other home devices to be able to work from home. They're all committed to the work. And there was a whole list of the activities that the management team felt were extraordinary circumstances. But I do understand the tension between having a bonus that is given to everyone as opposed to individuals. And the management team really debated that. Should it be a proposal that had differentials between employees? And the feeling was everybody had to fire on all cylinders to be able to continue to do what we do day in and day out, and to be able to ensure compliance, which is a struggle with utilities across the nation, and to make sure that they are making the personal commitment to stay safe so they can continue to come to work. So, but I do appreciate Commissioner Rogers' perspectives, and we didn't take this lightly when we proposed this, but we did feel that their work merited this as a special goal share.
Thank you, Diane.
I think for the reasons that have been set out by Diane, and given the fact that while the two agencies share a common board and have a very sort of unique, especially close relationship, nonetheless, they do have some real differences. And one of them is that Clean Water Services has really moved very strongly away, much more so than the county with respect to civil service and the whole concept and principles of civil service, and how we deal with employment categories and salaries and so forth. So I think we have an opportunity to do right in the situation of Clean Water Services, and I think we should go ahead and do that. Let me just also go back to item L for just a moment. If I can, at page 9 of 20 of the actual document for our 2020 investment policies, there's some language that says the following list allowable investment types that we can invest in. And then going on to page 10 of 20, it lists the U.S. Treasury obligations, and then, among other things, corporate indebtedness. In the language for corporate indebtedness, these would be we could invest in, apparently, if I understand this correctly, a corporate indebtedness subject to valid registration statement, so forth and so on, and then not listed on the fossil-free index carbon underground annual listing. I didn't quite understand what that's about. Is that so? Corporate indebtedness with respect to companies that are not listed on the fossil-free index. If someone could explain that line to me, it almost seems as if we're not allowed to invest in companies that are involved in some kind of a fossil-free index. Maybe explain that. Does that have to do with climate change policies? I'd like some further information about that one. That language is, I believe, right near the top of page 10 of 20, under corporate indebtedness as being one of the, and there's a description of the kind of indebtedness that we're able to invest in as a county.
Commissioner Scouten, Chair Harrington, Jack Liang has been promoted to a panelist and can answer that question.
Hi, good morning, Chair Harrington. Good morning, Commissioners. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioner Scouten. That is a very great question. Just for clarifications, it was not a change this year, but it was actually a change that we made last year when we adopted annual investment policy. As you may recall, the board actually had a discussion when we were presenting this policy about the county's commitment and support for climate change. And this is actually a standard list of fossil fuel companies that the county, from your board's direction, that the county decided not to invest in. And that you're absolutely correct by your assumption that it's definitely the reason for that is a support for climate change and activities.
Can't hear you, Dick.
I'm sorry. The section I just read about not listed on the fossil free index is redlined. I'm looking at the redline version of the 2020 investment policies.
Yes.
And so again, I just want to make sure are we saying that we're not investing in companies that are not doing enough based on some kind of an index with respect to climate change, or is it the other way around? And
yes, you're absolutely correct. That was actually a catch-up in the definition of the investment. The decision was actually made under Section 9C. That's on page 12 of the clean version, where we added not to invest in the fossil fuel companies. But then this year, we actually did catch up in the definition to make sure that that policy is more solid for that decision. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can't hear you.
Chair Harrington, you're second.
Yeah.
Michael.
Is everyone caught up on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Okay, anything else on today's formal agenda?
I have one.
Thank you, Jack. Go ahead, Roy.
Okay, one item, and that's on 6A, and I would hope that that would be an easy one to pass for at least two people on the screen that I'm looking at that were not involved in those discussions. The chair and I were. We're getting down to the very short hours of that CARES money, and it's difficult sometimes to balance in between pots of money as things are very, very fluid. And so what all this is really doing is allowing the CEO some flexibility as we get down to the final hour. So it may seem confusing, but it's a very good financial strategy. It makes a lot of sense. So I'm hopeful that that'll be passed very, very easily.
Right. I think that there's no question that we need to have that type of flexibility at this point. So I'm very supportive of that. I see in working with the business recovery piece, I'm very involved in this, and the time frame is getting tighter and tighter, and we need to have as much flexibility as we can to make sure that all of the funds we have available to us get to the right entities.
I agree with that.
Thank you.
I was a little confused at first at 6B. Got it.
Oh, B?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
okay.
I
caught up with you. I caught up with you. No worries. Okay, so why don't we move on then to a somewhat related but different topic on the coronavirus relief funds. So the plan for the new assistant funds made available through the state of $5.78 million, particularly targeted at the restaurant and hospitality field. So Ms. Angie, take it away.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. Board CFO Jack Liang and I are pleased to bring this item forward today for discussion, which is a plan for the $5.78 million of state relief. I do want to lift up, this is in addition to our CRF funding that we have received to date. So take it away, Jack.
Thank you, Ms. Angie, and good morning again, Chair Harrington. Good morning, commissioners. So this is definitely a state CRF funding that has been allocated to the county, and then the total allocation for this portion from the state is 55 million, and then the total allocation to Washington County so far has been confirmed to be 5.777452 million. And then this is a part of the state's direct receipt of the CRF fund, so it's subject to all of the restrictions and rules that's from the Department of Treasury that we are kind of familiar with already as a direct recipient as well of the CRF fund. We need to get the money encumbered and incurred, the expenditure incurred before December 30th. And there has been multiple discussions by the county's economic development group about how to use this fund. One thing that is a little bit different from our previous programs is that this fund is also available for the CBOs, specifically 501c3 organizations. So part of the economic development group's discussion is that we're going to open a new application period that includes both businesses and 501c3 organizations in there. So we have received the state.
Hang on a second.
Yes.
I'm a little confused. This money from the state came with pretty clear direction on its use.
Correct.
Directed towards restaurants in the hospitality field, as well as BIPOC. So to just blanket that it's open to all 501c3s is throwing the net a little wider than I think the state had intended.
I think, may I jump in here, Jack, just for a moment?
Absolutely.
We've been meeting on this. I think it's fair to say that we have prioritized the money to go to the hospitality industry and continued our priority of BIPOC as well. So with all due respect to Jack, yes, 501c3s can apply for this, but there is a very, we have worked with the priority system to reflect what the state's intention was. So the playing field isn't even, Chair, for all of the applicants. So I just want to make sure you understand that. And I do want to express my appreciation to Jack and his team for really being a part of this. But I really want to emphasize the fact that we have been just absolutely laser focused on what the state's intentions were for this money. So in fact, there were some late, I talked to Carolyn McCormick yesterday and provided even more information about how we can figure out to make sure that we've got this money going to the right folks. One of the complicating factors is we need in the hospitality area, which I'm focusing on hotels right now, they have to be headquartered in Oregon. So getting that information has been a little bit more difficult. But Chair, again, to your point, I just want to make sure that you and the other commission members understand that we have really focused on what the direction of the state has been.
Thank you, Commissioner Sheets. And thank you, Chair Harrington. It's a great question. And you guys were both a couple of steps ahead of me. I was just about ready to kind of discuss a little bit about the agreement that we received from the state. And there is a very clear guidance in there that says that we should prioritize the specific industries.
So I have a question, because maybe I pulled down the packet again yesterday and don't see any support material for this topic. And I know that you had received the contract from the state. So I'm really interested in seeing what the language is from the state for this additional money, because that's where we're going to be held accountable. And if it's embedded somewhere in the business packet, great. Point me to it, please.
I don't believe the contract itself is embedded in the package, but we can definitely send a copy to all the board members right away.
So whatever item it is on the business agenda today, I'm not going to vote yes for it without seeing that language. I mean, come on, too much hand waving here. We're going to be held accountable to that language. Please share it.
Yes, will do. And to help to answer the question, is the Economic Development Group has reviewed the contract in very close details, and that there is no hard legal requirement for the county to prioritize in any way. They actually did take the county's advocacy, all counties' advocacy, to leave the hard legal requirement fairly open and flexible, but with a strong recommendation and encouragement for the priority toward the hospitality industry, the BIPOC industry, and we are definitely taking that in consideration. And I will forward a copy of the agreement right after my part over here. And it looks like Ellen just.
Yeah, I'll reiterate what Jack is saying. It's a very broad language. The state is under the same gun we're on to try to get the money out the door. So they were very flexible in their language.
So it's nice that there's some group of people who've had the opportunity to see this.
I'll make sure to send it to all the board members right after my part here.
And can I just add to that? If Kevin can make sure that the packet is updated so it's part of the record as well.
Absolutely, Tanya, we will get that done.
All right. Well, I think by Q&A we covered quite a bit of the nature of this this item, and really what we have is two consent agendas to seek your board's approval for the IGAs that will be developed with the state.
Which consent agendas are they, please?
I will look up the numbers. It'll be consent agenda number 2Q and 2R.
Okay, thank you. I missed seeing that page yesterday. Thank you, Jack.
No problem. And both were added items. I believe they were added before yesterday, though. But again, I can send the contract.
I didn't highlight them earlier in this meeting when we went over agenda item changes. So thank you.
No problem.
So I can't speak for my other colleagues, but I'm going to need to take a few minutes before our meeting starts at 10 to review that material because I didn't notice it.
Pam, has the business group, have they been looking at this?
They have.
Absolutely, with Jack's guidance and with the legal team's guidance.
Oh, okay, good. Not that we shouldn't take a look at what's there, but I guess that makes me feel pretty comfortable.
All right. Well, I'd be happy to, besides the contract language that the state has sent to us, I'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
Okay,
right.
So the item in the packet for 2Q just says we're realizing the income, but it doesn't state anything about the state's intent for this. So I'll stick to my previous statement. That on item Q, and then again on item R, it's recognizing the mechanics for how it will be distributed, which is exactly the same as it's been, and does nothing to reflect any of the state intent. So I'll be voting, I'm requesting that those two items be removed from the consent agenda, and I will vote no on that because there's no language to echo the direction from the state to attend to the restaurant and hospitality business sector, as well as BIPOC firms. And that's the intent of the funds.
And thank you,
Jack.
Chair Harrington. Go ahead, Commissioner Rogers.
No, your email just came through. I was just saying thank you.
Okay, so I just sent a copy of the state's contract draft to the board, and then as Ms. Angie indicated, that will be updated in the board package. And I'm curious if, for Chair Harrington's purpose, would you feel more comfortable to move this to possibly to an action item to have more Q&As once you have more time to review the package and the contract itself?
Any commissioner can do that, so she has to do it. We do it.
Yeah, it's off the consent agenda.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, I misunderstood.
That's okay. We're all doing this in real time.
But
Thank you,
it is
Chair.
on, it is on as an action item, correct? It's not
Yeah.
just, yeah, okay.
Yes,
We'll
they
put
will
it-
be added as 6D and 6E on your action item list today.
All right, I'll be definitely ready to answer more questions. And once you have a chance to take a quick look of the IGA that the state has sent to us. So thank you for your time. And back to Ms. Angie.
I have no further comments. I just want to reflect that in the future, contracts will be attached to agenda items. So I just want to ensure that's on the record for the future.
So let me just summarize to see if I've heard this correctly. So Jack's going to send the contract from the state. You know, I heard all last week that we couldn't say anything about the direction of these funds until we got the state contract. And finally, in a meeting on Wednesday afternoon, Jack said, "Oh, I got the contract." Great. So now we have a packet to provide direction for the disbursement of these funds. What I heard is Jack's going to send the contract, but I don't know if we're going to get an updated packet for the actions. So I'm just wondering, how much am I going to be trying to catch up with before 10 o'clock?
So we can update the cover sheet as well. Right now, the time is 9:24. So I would ask that Jack work on updating the cover sheet so that can be inserted in the packet, and the updated cover sheet will be emailed to the board.
Okay. Okay, anything else on this topic, commissioners? All righty, so seeing none, I would suggest that we pause our work session and we'll move on with our convening and our board meeting at 10 a.m. And between now and then, we've got some information to catch up with in our inboxes.
All right. Thank you, commissioners, and we will see you at 10 o'clock on the other Zoom link that has been sent to you.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin, do we leave this one then?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Send it